Hey Creative Heart! Today let's talk about how to get creative projects done. So if you've got something that you want to birth into the world, let's break it down into the steps that I've found are very useful when it comes to circumventing procrastination and overriding resistance. So in this video, I wanted to share with you 9 simple keys that are good reminders. And sometimes we know these things, but if you're like me and you're sometimes up against something that you're like, how do I get this done again? It's just nice to have a place where you can come back to and go, that's right, those tips work. So first of all, I start my day with a to-do list. Actually, what I do is I create what I call an on-ramp for my day by writing the to-do list the night before. So for me, I keep a running to-do list that's quite long in an online program called Asana. And then I don't want to look at all those things because it's too overwhelming. So the night before, I'll just make a list of, say, 3, maybe 5 things that need to be done the next day. And for me, the key is to really only focus on one main creative project per day. I don't cope very well with having a lot of different things going on, and so I try and create spaciousness and just focus on getting the main kind of project done. So having a to-do list is a fantastic thing to use, and then make sure you check off as you're making progress through the day. And if you get to like 2 p.m. and you realize that you haven't done any of the things on your to-do list, don't freak out. Just hit reset on your day and think, okay, this is my opportunity to start taking some action. And the second tip about that is when I don't complete all the things on my to-do list for the day, which happens actually quite regularly, don't freak out, just move it over to the next day as long as it's not something that obviously has a deadline and had to get done. In which case, you will have wanted to employ this next tip that I find very helpful, and that is using some kind of public accountability. Now, people talk about posting on your Facebook page if you've got something that you want to launch in your business to give yourself some public accountability, or you may like to put it on your Facebook profile and tell your friends that you're planning to do this XYZ thing. For me, I sometimes do that, particularly if it has a fixed date and it's got to do with my business. But if it's just something that's happening behind the scenes, or I feel a little bit more that I need to have a sense of privacy around it, then I will likely only tell 2, maybe 3 people, and that's my husband, my mum, and my best friend. Otherwise, I will freak out thinking that everybody knows what I'm doing. So you don't have to tell the whole world, but I do recommend giving yourself some kind of accountability with a buddy, somebody that you trust and feel comfortable with. The third tip that I employ with great enthusiasm is give yourself a break. After you've been taking steps towards your creative vision, then you may feel a little depleted and tired, and in which case it's totally worthwhile, in my experience, to take a short break. It might be an hour if you've got much time. And for me, for example, before I made these videos today, I thought I'm going to watch half an episode of my favourite Australian TV drama, Offspring. And then I'm going to save the other half for what is going to be another part of my list to tell you today as a reward for getting these done. So yes, I think we're up to tip number 4 or 5. Is make sure that you motivate yourself by giving yourself something that you genuinely get excited about being able to have. And for me, it's being able to watch Nina in Offspring and check out all the dramas that's happening in her crazy world down in Fitzroy. Another tip that I employ, and is really, really, really helpful is to try and remove distractions when you're actually working on your project. So today I've got my mobile phone switched completely off, so I can't even hear it vibrate if somebody calls or I get a text or anything happens. And sometimes I will use those concentration apps on the computer, but to be honest, I'm better off just turning off the internet altogether if I need to focus on writing solely. And even then, the temptation can get the better of me. So that's when I like to take the computer away from civilization and go and sit in the bush or go camping or do something and really be able to focus with no distractions. This next tip is don't worry about perfection. Perfection is something that is really out there and it's quite subjective, and if something's subjective, then it can't be fixed, so therefore it's actually impossible to achieve. So don't get concerned about perfection and try to bring it back to remembering what it is that you're actually trying to achieve through the project that you're doing. Is it just purely to satisfy yourself? Is it to try and convey a message to the people that you're communicating with, whether it be through a painting or it be through a piece of writing or it be through a blog post? And then pair it back to recognizing when good is good enough. I often tell myself that. Good is good enough. This next tip is about where you put your focus. So it can get a little bit overwhelming when we're doing the nuts and bolts of the finicky side of making things, that we lose focus on why we're actually doing something. So this tip is to remember why you want to do something. Why is it important to you, and what is it going to enable you to experience more of in your life? Having a little reminder of, hey, that's right, I'm doing this so that I can X, Y, and Z. I can take a bath this evening, or I can provide for my children, or I can be an example for how to be able to express my creativity for my children. Then those are really beautiful reasons to come back to, and they can help to motivate us to focus on our creative project. And finally, this is an oldie but a goodie. Focus on one thing at a time. So once you've got your to-do list, just block out even the things that are underneath and just focus on one thing. Give yourself permission to put all your attention on what you're doing, and you'll feel motivated once you've been able to check it off your list and you can move on to the next. So there's my tips to help us all get our creative projects out into the world. They don't have to be perfect, and they are so satisfying once they are completed. So I encourage you, whatever it is that you're desiring to birth into the world, give yourself permission to do it imperfectly, to focus on one thing at a time, and reward yourself. Now, for more great tips like these, come on over to nicolanewman.com, and if you like, you may like to sign up for my free 10-day e-course, which teaches you how to get started with painting and creativity. It's loads of fun, and I'd love to see you there. You can find that at nicolanewman.com/begin. Wishing you a fantastic week. Be kind to yourself, nurture your creativity, and I'll see you later. Bye. Now, if you're new to my blog and you would like some help to get started with painting and creativity, I've created a beautiful 10-day free e-course that takes you through just that, getting started with painting and creativity. And you can find that at nicolanewman.com/begin. And in there, you'll be taken through how to paint an abstract painting, we'll do some writing and some photography exercises, and it's loads of fun.